So white glove in the logistics landscape can be defined in a variety of different ways, right? So for us at Pegasus, we focus on the white glove business to business environment.
You've got some people who say, I want white glove service, and all they really want is you to bring it in the building and set it down where they want it and maybe take the trash away. Then you've got varying levels of add-on to that. I kind of view the transportation piece as A to B, and white glove is anything before A or after B. Could be go in, asset inventory, to packing. In some of the environments we do, it's ESD bags or bubble pack to take static out. Different types of packaging requirements depending on the product. And then on the delivery end, your unpack, placement, debris removal, some element of setup and or assembly. It can, so the scale of white glove is pretty broad. And then in turn, you've got different levels of vendors to support those needs. So we started out the whole white glove model, if you will, in the late 90s with our three largest customers were Fujitsu, Alcatel, and Nortel. So we were heavily invested in the telecom space. So we learned how our operating systems and everything else was going to mesh with that in the telecom environment. Telecom tanked in the early 2000s, and then we're all going, now what are we going to do? And we were able to take the learnings and stuff that we had from that space and start to apply it to other industries. We are dealing with some of the Fortune 50, and many of those are in the high-tech space. There are only 3 real cloud providers out there, and we are dealing with 2 of them. So we're very involved with them in the evolution of their equipment. With a couple of those key clients, we're able to be involved sometimes years in advance of product change. When you do get the customer and you have that type of relationship and they go, hey, this is what we're thinking. What are the landmines to doing this from a logistics standpoint? What problems does this cause? We're in a fortunate position with a couple of those customers that we're having discovery dialogue, months or years in advance of new product changes. That is beneficial, and you can lead the customer to what they really need when they think they know what they need. Sometimes they don't actually know, depending on who you're talking to within that organization. I had an example, Monday I was at a data center in Santa Clara, California. We have a client that's decommissioning a facility, and they've asked us to help recycle some of the things coming out of there. The first scope we got was there were 400 floor tiles that needed to be removed from this colo and disposed of. Well, I walked in and I just did a little math, and I went, this is 1,200 tiles, not 400. So scope creep out of the gate, and we haven't done anything yet.
I think for everyone in the industry, your natural struggle is to go to pricing, right? It's like, good. Customer leads you to, are your rates competitive? You want to just be competitive so you can win, right? That's a short-term, quick result. Like, hey, if I can match it, I can win. When we talk to a customer, it's like, okay, take pricing, for example. I don't want to help be cheaper. I'm going to lose because of my high-touch service model. What I want to try and figure out is how you can do things differently. And so when you're expediting or when you're doing this or that that's very costly to your organization, how do I help reduce that? What's changing in your manufacturing footprint? What's changing in your actual cargo? Is it getting bigger, smaller? Are your delivery requirements changing? Any new customers on the horizon? How can we help better solution like the bigger picture? And that's not all about us moving the boxes. It's about how we can work as one team to think bigger picture about future success of your organization. And then we obviously hope to be a part of that. What we do and why we do it and how it benefits the customers in the long run is super important, because it's just naturally going to go towards that pricing point early on. And I've always said to customers is like, look, what I'll commit to for any of you, I've reached out to you for a reason, right? And that reason is you are an ideal client fit for our organization. We have a very methodical approach to what we define as an ideal client, and I know your characteristics fit it. That said, we can talk about pricing, or what I can commit to is I will be competitive. Let's talk about how we can bring real value. And by the time we're done with that, You and I are going to want to do business or not want to do business. And once we want to, that pricing stuff will get taken care of. Simple example, new client of ours in the last few years is, we've got a problem not knowing who's at fault at the delivery. What's that mean? We really don't know, is the carrier late? Is the installation guy canceling it? Is the consignee actually just saying deliver it on another day? Our data isn't great. We can't figure out how to solve, which means we can't figure out who to hold accountable. And so what did we say? How can we solve for that? How can we measure their problem? And so we created some tech-enabled solutions that allowed us to know at every delivery point why something was changed. And guess what? Now they can run a report that we created that shows installer A changed the delivery appointment. We created a unique differentiator, and we've always said in this business, it's like every little bit of differentiation makes a difference.
The way high-value products are tracked, we have them where if it's in the trailer and somebody opens the door, it records the light. So you can look at a report and know what time of day that door was opened. Those devices can do humidity and temperature tracking, all of that. Vibration, handling, those things are pretty robust now, and the cost has come down substantially over the last decade. When these things first came out, they were good on a short truck run. Now you can put it in an ocean container and it can be on the water for 45 days, and you get a ping every 15 minutes telling you where it's at. Those types of things have evolved, as well as, with a lot of the white glove things we do, we're meeting an installation team, trying to schedule those events so you're not wasting installation time, because that's expensive. Many locations we go to, our client isn't the only one in that facility, so they have to schedule arrivals very, very closely, and we're coordinating with the installation crews on an app that we developed. We've done a couple of things over the years in looking at the scale of white glove and what it means. We've done some data center relocation work that the end customer was a federal government entity. We had 3 sets of 3 trailers. They couldn't be closer than 250 miles apart. They had armed escorts front and back, because those things had live data on them. Much like you see in the medical world with the HIPAA laws and things of that nature, certain federal entities are highly security focused, and it wasn't necessarily about the monetary value of the product, it was the cost of loss of that product that was driving the behavior and driving the procedures.
I think for a prospective client, or anybody that's doing business with service providers today, I think, again, try and think beyond the metrics. On-time percentage, claims-free handling of freight, billing accuracy. We view those as me toos. We're gonna give you those data points, we're gonna execute, but what are you really trying to solve? Am I trying to save time? Am I trying to drive efficiencies? Am I trying to reduce risk? Am I trying to increase my sales? Am I trying to get a better brand recognition out there? Those are the things that you've really got to ask and challenge your providers today, like, how are you helping me accomplish this? Because ultimately what I want somebody to do is say, I've got to reduce risk, I need you to help me get there. And then my solutions team needs to say, okay, now we kind of have something. Let's dig and let's figure out what your definition of risk is. And when we get to that definition, it should whittle down a lot of areas of, okay, here's how a service provider such as Pegasus could help mitigate.